According to YouTube, I do not have enough subscribers to sustain myself. So please like and subscribe, and if you want a coaching session, click the top link in the bio. Otherwise, sit back and take some notes and enjoy the video.
Whatever you want, but if you want to go over a Viper bot, let's get to it, alright? Okay, so let me ask you, why did you choose to play A here with your wall in Viper?
I just normally play A. That's just how I've always done it.
Okay, so here's the thing about you know, Viper as a whole. Like, you can have impact on the whole map on Icebox. It's actually super easy, right? All you do is you go here, you put up your wall, you just put it up for your team, and then you run and you go play B, and you can put your orb either here or here, depending on how you want to play. You have plenty of time to do this, and it's way more impactful. Okay, I actually want to look at something here. I'm curious, because we bought full utility this round, right, for econ management? Okay. What was your decision for buying 2 mollies instead of a sheriff?
I've just always, when I lose a round, go full util for second round if we lose pistol.
Why? What's your reasoning? I don't think it's bad, I'm just curious.
Yeah, so then I'd know for sure, if I don't get a kill or something for that round, I'll have enough for full util, full armor, and a vandal the next round.
That's only if you get kills, though. So, for example, if you die without getting kills on pistol round, right? You'll be left with, you know, depending on how much you spend, you know, Viper will be 700 to 800, or whatever you spend. So you either have 1900 or 2000, right? And then if you buy, you know, your 2 mollies, then you'll be left with like 1500, right? Which means, you know, if you use the mollies, you won't have enough for full util, full rifle. You know what I'm saying? The way I see it, right? When I teach people is I think kill pressure is always more valuable than utility, but utility is something you can use, and the way you have to look at utility is if I think we can win this round, then I'm going to use my utility, right? To me, if I think it'd be more beneficial for you just to buy a sheriff, especially if you get 2 kills, and then go rifle, light armor, full utility going into the next round, because kill pressure to me is more valuable, especially at lower ranks when people are more prone to making mistakes. Does that make sense? The reason why I'm not the biggest fan of Viper playing A is because you can't really take those aggressive lines as much because your utility is more valuable in a retake, right? Right, there's a bunch of different ways you can play this map, right? But with Viper, right, you want to make sure you're getting value out of your utility. And this is why Viper at A isn't always the best. It's not terrible, but it's just like, there's just like better ways you can play it, because you can just like put up your wall for retake and then you can still support your teammates, so they can go past your wall, right? They can make the aggressive fights. And then whatever, and then you're like super easy at stalling for B, right? You're like, your ability to stall at B is easy because, like, think about where can they plant at B? Right here, if they don't get kills, or like right here. And like both of these places, especially if you have your orb, if they're planting here, your person from Snowman can hear that and just spam them, right? So they'd have to have Snowman control to plant there. But yeah, like if you look at your team comp, right, there's literally nothing on your team to stop them from going B unless one of your teammates decides to buy an op. Because it's so easy to force people off these corners, especially with their team comp, right? They have Skye, Reyna, and Sova, right? So it's like if you look at their team comp, right? Sova, all he has to do is drone up close, right? Now Reyna and Skye and Sova can no longer play any of these close angles. This all of this close cleared by the drone, right? Now all of a sudden, Sova darts and he throws his dart here. And then all of a sudden, entirety of yellow just cleared, right? And now everything of B was just taken, and there's nothing you guys can do to stop them anymore. Yeah. I do this all the time. The biggest thing I can say about pulling out your gun is, like, anytime you're approaching like a new, like, quote unquote dangerous angle is like when you should pull out your gun, right? So there's obviously timing where somebody could be mid because how far your Skye has been mid, right? So it's like one of those things where it's like as you're turning that corner, you never know, maybe he hears you while he's walking through mid from screens, turns around, shoots you, kills you, picks up the vandal, and now it's 2v1. But, okay, this is an econ management thing. Okay. So first, always look at your teammates' economy. Alright, my teammates can buy my teammates. Just think about what they're going to be on this round. They're going to be on rifles this round, right? So they're going to one-tap you in the head anyway. Especially on a map like Icebox, where I think it's like 80, or it's like 75 to 80% of the people on this map, specifically across all ranks, buy a Vandal. Like, you're going to be one-tappable, and then 133 isn't going to make a difference between 133 and 120, like, you know, whatever. The thing that you have to think about is, like, okay, is it worth it for me to spend this 1,000 credits to upgrade? And, like, when we look at our economy state, it's not. The rules that I follow when, you know, talking about economy is the premise, okay, do I have 5,000 credits or more? Okay, I can upgrade my armor. Are they on a save? Okay, I can upgrade my armor. Did I just die? Yes? Okay, I can buy full armor, right? Those are the 3 situations where you should be buying full armor, and it should always be if I'm above 25 armor, right? So if I'm above 25 armor, look at these conditions. If I'm not above 25 armor, just rebuy that shit back. Does that make sense? So this is something that, like, when you're putting up your wall, right? You should never, like, really do this on Viper, if that makes sense. Like, you put up your wall insta, right? Like, there's no utility. It's the very start of the round. So by the time the enemy throws the dart here, and by the time the enemy scales and clears these angles, your wall is going to be at half, if not, like, 25 fuel, right? So it's just kind of like a waste of fuel. So wait until, like, contact, and, like, when people are, like, close to the orb, that's when you should put up your wall. Does that make sense?
Yep.
What's your decision to start, like, mid here?
Smoke's on B.
I'm not sure.
So this is what I mean, right? The
it
only reason why
was-
I'm mentioning this is because if you look at, like, what's happening, right, is
I-
you're focusing more on your utility than your actual, like, reasoning behind doing things. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it was. I had my ult and I was looking to play retake with my ult. Wanted to try and stay alive.
I'm gonna play retake with your ult. Interesting, interesting. Let me ask you a question. Do you think it'd be better to pop your ult at the beginning of the round and then have your teammates stack towards one side? Don't you think that would be, like, a little bit more efficient?
It probably would be, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So that's just, like, a different way to think about it, right? That's not like you know, being dumb, right? That's just like a, hey, let me show you a different way that you could do it, right? Because in reality, right, having 3 people stacked towards A with your Sova playing towards mid and then you just ulting B at the start of the round will have more impact than you playing retake with your ult. Because, like, playing retake with your ult means you already lost the site and you lost probably numbers, and then you're trying to fight back from a disadvantageous situation instead of just giving your team the advantage at the start. Does that make sense? Peeking too. Here you have 2 mollies. You should learn the mollies from, they're, like, super easy. You should learn the mollies from right here, or I mean right here to molly default, and then you should kind of retake from this position as Viper. It's just a little bit better. Or you can throw them from heaven, either way, but heaven you kind of have to peek, so you might accidentally walk into an op, right? Where this, it's like the only place you have to peek is kind of like top site, and you'll be okay, right? Because you'll throw them from here.
No, I died and I was laughing.
Always make sure you use your mollies during a retake, because it's like, think about it, it's area of denial, right?
They're rotating A.
This is something I want to mention in terms of, like, tone of your voice. Nice shots, by the way. This is what I want to mention in, like, tone of your voice, right? So when you're giving comms, like, they're running A, like, you need to make it, like, known, like, 2 running A, 3 running A, like, how many do you hear, right? And let it be known with, like, your voice, like, very, like, strongly, if you 100% know the information. And the reason why is because, like, if you always keep the same tone, right, what's going to happen is there's going to be times where it's like somebody immediately needs to know, and you're going to be like, hey, one's pushing your screens, and then they will, like, process the comm late because it doesn't seem important, right? It's like, oh, they're processing, like, maybe the comm takes a second or 2 to process rather than whatever. You know, you competed at a high level, so I'm guessing you know, you kind of know about that, but it's just something to remind yourself of when you're playing this game. Honestly, I blame sprays. Not your fault. I blame sprays.
I just whiffed.
Okay, this is a mental thing. Anytime you whiff, right? Don't worry about it too much. Like, it's okay, you whiffed, but, like, you can tell right now you whiffed, so you're panicking, like, you're running around, right? Not like, okay, I whiffed, what's my next move, right? Also, this is another basic rule that I give to lower elo players. If there's one, always expect 2. It's like you kill one, there's another one, right? So always expect 2. You give yourself 2 seconds. You're not allowed to reload, and the only time you can reload is when you're in a safe area. Off bomb tap. Okay. This is something small, but this is like the 3rd time I've seen it, so I'm going to mention it, might as well. Anytime you're rotating, always make sure your crosshair is in the most likely position that somebody can peek you from. So for example, here, right? Nobody can peek you from here. It's not possible, right? Because you have your raise here, there's a box here, you have another teammate here. So nobody's peeking you from this direction. It's just, if they do, then flame your teammates, whatever. So your crosshair the whole time when you're rotating through mid should go, like, it should be here, and you should almost, like, be backpedaling, looking at this under tube until you get to, like, here, and then you should, like, flip around, right? Because then gunfights can happen. This smoke is really hard to go through unless one of my teammates goes psycho mode and just, like, kills 2 people, right? So what we should do from this position, right, is just like, hey guys, let's go B. Like, we still have wall in hand too, like, we can just go B, right? Also, you need to learn when you're playing Viper about, like, cycle timing of, like, how long do you need your orb up, right? You left your orb up for 60 charge, which, like, just doesn't even make sense. 70 charge, actually. Doesn't make sense. You can basically leave your orb up for, like, 30 charge at a time. 30, maybe 40, 25 at minimum, right? Because that's enough time to cross and do your do your thing, right? So it's like when you leave it up for whatever, you know, you're kind of trolling. So here's what I like to call limit testing land, right? So the first 1 or 2 times I do this orb, I'll never go near it because they're like, oh my god, you know, whatever. But after the first 2 rounds, I basically conditioned them and been like, what's up, fuckers? I'm not actually going to the orb. And then at like round 3, I'll go through the orb and see what the hell's up, right? It's like, oh, is anybody actually holding this? Can I go through here? Okay, cool, right? Or like what I like to do is like go through the orb, and I like to go through this way just to see, is anybody actually holding mid? And if nobody's holding mid, then I basically just won the round for my team because I'll kill 3 at A, right? I'll kill 2 at A. You need to start limit testing this, right? To me, it feels like the way you play is literally the description of I'm afraid to make a mistake instead of like I am paying attention to the enemies and I know what I can try to do, right? It's a prime example. 3v2, what should you do? If you were to relive the situation right now, tell me exactly what you do without hesitation.
I would go back towards maze and play with my team and not peek these people.
What do you think
And
I
then
would do?
And I would ult when I go back. I ult in a couple seconds.
Okay. Yeah, so I think this is like
Um,
decisiveness, right?
I
It's
just-
like you're running around
yeah,
and like, almost like actively looking for a fight in like a 3v2 scenario when you don't need to. Right? After you peek, you make sure that nobody's rafters. You know, even if you want to jiggle to make sure nobody's screen, sure, whatever. Peek, make sure nobody's rafters, pop your ult, and then all you do is you sit at the edge of your ult, make sure your ult kind of goes to here, and then at like 20 seconds, you just walk to this cage and you just ping the bomb because the bomb's going to be planted for you right there, right? That's your pattern of what you would do. That's like the quote-unquote proper play, if that makes sense. So how do you determine what you're going to do in a round? So like, let's say we're going into a round, right? What should be our determining factors of what we want to do?
Who has ults and how much money each team has.
Yeah. Alright. So pay attention to our win conditions, right? We have a raise ult, right? That's a pretty big win condition, right? We don't have any win conditions on this team. Our win conditions are Viper ult, raise ult, and then like a mid-round win condition would be like a Sky ult, right? Rain and Chamber ults or whatever, they're just whatever the fuck happens, right? If we're on a save round, then Chamber becomes our win condition ult. But other than that, right?
That's what maze.
Yeah, this is you panicking, right? So think about this. Okay, you have to think about your mollies, right? Every time you molly, right? You are giving away your location, right? So you molly here. What did you just do? You told them where you were, right? Because they hear the audio cue. What they hear is the position you threw it from, right? So if you're close enough, they'll hear it ting, right? And they'll hear that. Here, what do they hear? Ting. They hear where you throw it from, right? So by that time, the Sova might not even have known you were here, right? Does that make sense? He might not even have known you were still here because you're throwing the molly. It's like giving away your location, so it's a little bit troll. I do like the ult. What I would have done is, since you knew he was here, I would have mollied the bomb and then like walked just in any direction. I don't care which direction you walked in. I would have just like walked backwards, mollied the bomb, and then like kept walking either this way or this way, right? And just pick which way. So whatever way you go, you're either gonna get a gunfight by walking into him in your ult, which is your your advantage, or you're just gonna completely dodge him, right? Do you see the 2 outcomes that are possible? Those are the 2.
Thanks for watching to the end of the video. Don't forget to leave a like and a comment down below, because God, I'd suck someone's dick to get put in the algorithm. YouTube, if you're watching this, just let me know.